Yes, welcome once again to Cannabis News with Joe Klare to September 28th, 2018. Presented as always by the Marijuana Times, marijuanatimes.org. Bunch of great articles there, social media links, everything you need to know about the cannabis community, industry, and beyond. And of course, if you click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org, you will find this show. You can also search us on Apple Podcasts for the audio version of the show. Just search Marijuana Times on there. Today we're talking about Pennsylvania and possible recreational legalization in that state. Also, an interesting story about police in Utah and North Dakota, perhaps illegally using social media to champion against marijuana legalization measures, medical marijuana, of course, in Utah, and recreational in North Dakota. We'll talk about that. Also, an update on the Oklahoma medical marijuana program. Had quite a rocky start. Have they righted the ship? Is it full steam ahead again? If I may break out some nautical references and analogies, well, we'll see. We'll tell you about it all coming up. But first, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com. Side is spelled CIDE. They have organic, all-natural pesticides. If you're a cannabis cultivator and you're in a state where it's legal, you're going to be various pesticide regulations you got to follow. You have to be regulatory compliant. You don't use harmful chemicals. You want to grow safe and poison-free and do all these things with Natureside and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Check them out, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. One of the main reasons they're awesome. Go check them out. This first story from Julia Granowitz over at marijuanatimes.org. Pennsylvania lawmaker introduces a bill to legalize cannabis. That's right. Pennsylvania Representative Jake Wheatley has introduced a cannabis legalization bill that goes well beyond what other states have passed so far or are currently considering. The bill will legalize the plant for use and sale by adults 21 and older and create a licensed and regulated commercial industry for recreational cannabis. This particular bill goes one step further as it will reverse many of the negative impacts of prohibition from the day that it is implemented. Wheatley said, quote, "My bill would immediately release people jailed for crimes associated with cannabis. Those who have criminal histories related to cannabis and would be expunged, and professional and driver's licenses that were revoked or suspended due to cannabis-related crimes would be reinstated. For far too long, the criminal justice system has unfairly punished Pennsylvanians, especially minorities, who are caught with cannabis." So very interesting. We'll see what happens in Pennsylvania. Medical marijuana is very new there. How far recreational will go, it has to go through the legislature, obviously. But again, as with all these things, even if it's not something that would say, pass this year or next year, it's a long road. You got to get going. You got to get going down that road. The only way to get to an end of a long road is by starting on that long road. I believe that's a Chinese proverb. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But the key to getting to the end of a long road is starting on that long road. Yes, I believe it was Confucius. I don't know. I'm not going to take credit for it. I've obviously stolen it from someone, but who, I don't know. In any case, Pennsylvania, obviously, if you live in Pennsylvania, do what needs to be done. You have a state representative, you have a state senator. Let them know how you feel. You may think it may not matter, and it may not. I mean, I'm not psychic, but enough people get together and keep saying the same thing. Even the most jaded and maybe even the most corrupt. Not that any of them are corrupt. I have no idea. I don't know who these people are. But even if they are corrupt, things start to seep in. Things start to seem like hey, the wave is going this way. Maybe if I don't feel like marijuana legalization is a good thing, for whatever dumb reason you think that, maybe I just I'll vote for it to because people want it. I mean, at the very least, this should be good for something, right? The people wanting something, I don't know. Maybe I'm the jaded one. I don't know. It's very possible. This next story from marijuanamoment.net. Are police breaking the law to campaign against marijuana legalization? Police in 2 states with marijuana initiatives on their ballots this November are using official law enforcement social media accounts to campaign against the measures and what could be a violation of elections rules in Utah, according to Salt Lake City-based Fox 13. Quote, found a few police agencies using their official accounts to urge voters to reject Proposition 2, which will legalize medical cannabis in that state. It's been a pretty brutal fight so far, and the opposition is very active in Utah, especially the Mormon Church. So there's definitely going to be a battle going into November for medical marijuana in Utah That prompted the state elections director in Utah to issue a warning against using public resources, including a police department's social media account, for political purposes. While the offense is technically a crime, it is rarely prosecuted. Also in North Dakota, a similar law prohibiting corrupt practices explicitly bans the use of any state or political subdivision, services, or property for political purposes. That then stopped Cavalier County Sheriff Greg Fetched from using his department's official Facebook page to oppose Measure 3, which will legalize recreational marijuana in the state. I understand. Listen, I understand if you're a police officer, you were brought up in that tradition, and you firmly believe in your heart that people should not use marijuana. They should not use cannabis. That's fine. You can have that opinion. That's great. You don't think people should use marijuana. That's fine. But to go out of your way, especially in the case of Utah, to prevent sick people from having the option of using marijuana, man, there's got to be something better for you to do. There really does. I live in the United States. I can't speak for every state, but I know things are similar in a lot of ways. Culturally, all that stuff. And the crime rates, except for like you get into the really big cities, they're pretty level, but they're there. There's crime. There's violent crime, especially, your murders and your assaults and your rapes and your robberies and your attempted murders and your theft of property. The list goes on and on. But some of these people, they're going to devote a little bit of their resources to opposing marijuana initiatives on their Twitter or their Facebook. Now, granted, they may have not used a real cop to do that. Maybe it's like an intern or someone that, they didn't really want out there armed. So they said, hey, why don't you run our social media department? I don't know how that works. But that seems to be how it works. And they're like, hey, I'm against people being able to use marijuana. In Utah, I'm against sick people being able to use marijuana. So I'm going to tweet and or Facebook about it. So, if that's not a waste of resources, I don't know what is. Even if it is a cop that they wouldn't normally put out on the street for violent crimes, they could, do something. They could direct traffic, they could guard a library. I don't know. Go patrol something. Call it in. Violent crimes going on all the time. They're tweeting about weed. Slash story comes to us from Twitter. The Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority's Twitter account. That's at OMMAOK. We'll update on what's going on in Oklahoma. As you can see there, if you're watching the video version of the show, the tweet says, quote, beginning this week, 5,724 patient, 45 caregiver, 1,619 business applications have been received. It's almost 7,400 total. Of those approved, almost 3,800 patients, 27 caregivers, 377 dispensaries, 593 growers, and 165 processors have been approved. It's almost 5,000 licenses approved in total. So yes, after a rocky start, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Program is moving along. They seem to have righted the ship, as I said earlier, almost 5,000 licenses. Obviously the almost 4,000 patients, the number is going to go up considerably, and that's going to mean the caregiver and dispensary and grower and processor numbers also have to go up as well. It's good to see beyond patients, the second biggest number is growers, because they're really the most important cog in the chain. The whole marijuana supply chain, the growers are essential. A lot of other people are essential, but not as essential as the growers. The medical marijuana has to be grown, and then it can be processed and tested and dispensed and so on and so forth. So good for Oklahoma. Patients in Oklahoma, seems like there's progress. Despite the rocky start, they're well on their way to a medical marijuana program in a very, very red state, conservative state. Politically, that's going to do it for me for this week. Your weekend can now start. Go live it up. Be careful. Have a safe time. All that stuff. Thank you to Nature Side. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of the show. Check us out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We're growing every day. Click that little bell to get notifications from YouTube when a new episode of Cannabis News has been dropped. As the kids say, thanks for sharing these videos. Thank you for watching and listening today. And as always, you're awesome. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.